This is Malibu, the cool, laid-back surfer at home on the beach. You're looking at Lace, feminine, sexy, but always a lady. This is Gemini, a split personality, calm 1 minute, violent the next. This is Zap, strong, silent, the Terminator. You're looking at Nitro, cocky, explosive, and always aggressive. And this is Sunny, the all-American woman. These are the American Gladiators. And the events that they compete in are fast-paced, exciting, confrontational, visually interesting, action-oriented, and capable of producing emotional moments. From Universal Studios Hollywood, this is the American Gladiators.
The American Gladiators, brought to you in part by Nintendo, makers of the Nintendo Entertainment System and the world's most exciting library of great games. Now you're playing with power.
And now the larger-than-life American Gladiators march into the competition area. There's a lot of athletic ability in this group, including 2 former NFL players. They're tough, determined, and ready for competition. Now let's meet the contenders who will compete against the Gladiators on this program. Selected from a national search, they are Amy Ross, a waitress from Andover, Massachusetts. Nancy Petito, a housewife and mother from Wakefield, Massachusetts. In the men's competition from Taylor, Michigan, Phil Carroll, a former Marine. And Jason Wyatt of Los Angeles, a junior college football star who wants to play football at UCLA.
Hi, I'm Joe Theis, the host of the American Gladiators. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to see some competition like you have never seen before. Let me explain the format. There are 2 male contenders and 2 female contenders who will be competing against our Gladiators in some very unique and physical competition. Based upon how well those contenders do, they'll be awarded points. At the end of the show, the male contender and the female contender with the most points will move on to the next round. They'll also move 1 step closer to the $10,000 first prize and the possibility of becoming an American Gladiator. Now for an explanation of our first event, let's go over to my co-host, Mike Adamley.
The name of the game is Powerball, and as the name implies, strength will play a very important part in this event, so will quickness. 2 contenders will compete side by side against each other, head-to-head competition inside this large semicircle. Their mission to score as many goals as they can inside a 45-second time period. A goal when the ball is placed inside the cylinder. However, the contenders face a very big problem. Actually, 3 very big problems. Our 3 gladiators who will be doing their darndest to stop the contenders from scoring.
As we take a look at our contenders, Philip Carroll, just 5'10", 195 pounds, will be competing simultaneously with Jason Wyatt, who's much bigger at 6'3" and 215 pounds. Now, in this event and the Eliminator are the only 2 where the contenders and the Gladiators are on the floor at the same time.
As we look at our 3 Gladiators, Nitro, Gemini, and Malibu, a reminder this is the 4th of 5 preliminary rounds. The 5 winners from the prelims, plus the 3 best second-place finishers, advance to the quarterfinals. Each goal is worth 15 points, 45 seconds to work against the Gladiators. And both Phil Carroll and Jason Wyatt score early.
It's interesting how both the contenders and the Gladiators establish some type of a game plan. Phil Carroll trying to work one-on-one against Malibu, I guess because he just looks like he's the smallest, a surfer, you know, not an athletic-looking guy, but a surfer.
Jason taking him on Malibu there. Malibu knocks him out of bounds without Jason scoring. Phil Carroll was thwarted as well.
Little jump shot he tried to get.
Nice spin move there. Wyatt scores 2.
Well, it's just so interesting. Now, you see, now what happens, Jason Wyatt waits until Phil Carroll occupies 2 of the Gladiators, then he comes in behind him. Now, the one time what we saw, once the contender is knocked down, he cannot get up off the floor and try and put the ball in the cylinder. That one will be taken away from Phil Carroll. There are the point totals. Jason Wyatt with 3 balls, 45 points. Phil Carroll with 2 balls, 30 points.
And Phil demonstrating the bigger they are, the harder they fall. He gives Malibu and Gemini quite a shot. And as you mentioned, Joe, although he was knocked to the ground, that goal right there does not count.
Well, Phil Carroll wanted to try and bull over the Gladiators. Jason Wyatt wants to use the up-in-the-air sidestep fake and go around Nitro. It seemed to work a little bit until Gemini showed up. And right here's where you see where the teamwork of the Gladiators really paid off. Nitro being backed up by Gemini, so he decides to go the other way. We talked to Jason earlier about what he wanted to be when he was a kid growing up.
Growing up from, I guess, about age 7 to 11, I wanted to be a stuntman. And everything I saw, them do, I try. Children don't try this at home. I would, of course I didn't have the access to the motorcycles or the cars to sit there and try to jump off of another car. But jumping off roofs, swinging from trees, anything that I can get my hands on to do that was silly or crazy. But yet I knew the limit.
There's the totals for the first event, the first of 6 that the men will compete in. Jason Wyatt with 45 points. Remember, he got 15 points for each ball in the cylinder. Phil Carroll with just 30. And coming up next, the women's assault.
Prepare thyself well, Dragon Warrior. Thy most challenging quest ever awaits. Go with speed, but go with patience. Seek out an arsenal, a dragon scale, a torch, and magic herbs. Use wisdom and cunning to choose thy commands, for the Dragon Lord is a fierce rival. Horrible and treacherous minions all guard the Evil One's island castle. Art thou ready, young one?
Yes, King Warwick.
And so begins a new epic, Dragon Warrior.
Nintendo, now you're playing with power.
Hey, what do you got? Nerf Turbo Football. Yeah, what's it do? Go long. Real long.
Nice toss.
Nerf Turbo Football. You don't throw it, you launch it.
Party Line Dating, 976-6565. Just $2 plus any toll. It's fun. It's live. It's hot and so's the talk. Don't be alone. Call and talk with up to 8 other people live. Call now, 976-6565. That's 976-6565.
Finally, all the brands you want in home electronics are here. All the brands you want in appliances are here too. All your favorite brands, all at the right prices. And all at the store you already trust. It's finally here. Come see for yourself. Sears announces the grand opening of Brand Central. The brands you want at the store you trust.
These symbols represent illegal drug seizures made by this Coast Guard cutter. Stopping drug smugglers is just one of the jobs they do every day. Be part of the action.
Coast Guard and Coast Guard Reserve. Call toll-free or see your Coast Guard recruiter.
Welcome back, and coming up, our first event for the women will be the assault, and Mike and I had a chance to demonstrate it earlier.
Well, the game of assault is a game of, quite frankly, hit or be hit. He's going to try to hit me with one of those tennis balls. I'm going to try to put the Gladiator out of his misery with first this rocket launcher. I'll go through this entire course. I've got 4 safe zones and 4 chances to hit the Gladiator and the target right next to him. You ready to go?
I'm ready for you. Bring it on. Come on, you chicken.
I've been hit about 10 times.
You're a dead man. Mike, there's not enough of you there to hide behind.
should have been as accurate as you were with the Redskins, the way you hit me about 5 times. Let's hope Amy Ross from Andover, Massachusetts is a little more successful than I am. Amy, as we mentioned, an outstanding soccer player back home, and she'll need that agility in this event as she goes against Lace. As we've seen, Joe, Lace pretty accurate with that gun.
Not only that, she really enjoys firing those tennis balls at over 100 miles an hour as the contenders try and move through the assault various stations.
Each contender has 60 seconds to try to hit or be hit. Amy pretty quick so far.
Probably the most difficult part of the assault right here, the cannon, because you have to reach up. Oh, there she is. She just got hit on the left side of the shoulder and in the knee. And Lace takes another contender out. Quite content with herself, she is. There we go. Amy Ross trying to lean back away after she fired the cannon. Couldn't get out of the way of the tennis ball. You see it come in from the right side of the screen. Now, after she was hit, that means she will not receive any points in the assault.
Next up, 27-year-old Nancy Petito, and before the competition, we talked to Nancy about her early athletic experience.
Growing up, I tried out for Babe Ruth baseball and everything, and I hit it the farthest, and I wasn't picked because it was discrimination, actually, and I filed a suit and everything, and it just, nothing came of it. But then later on, a few years after that, they started having girls in the Little League, and they had other leagues for women to play, you know, young girls at the time.
So you were sort of ahead of your time.
I think so. I think I instigated a little bit.
And remember, a contender will earn 60 points if it can hit the target, 100 points if he or she hits the bullseye. The cameraman took a shot right there early on. Nancy Petito very poised early here in the assault.
What every contender has tried to do is figure out when the Gladiator is going to load that cannon, then move in between, dodging, jumping, bumping back and forth. Here, Nancy, she knew Amy got hit there the time before. Now she tries to get to the oh, right in the head. Took one right in the head.
That cover not as protective as Nancy had hoped it would be. She thought she had a little more protection, but Lace's shot goes right through and nails her. So after the first event, the women's assault, a pair of goose eggs on the board, 0-0. And the men are on deck here on American Gladiators. Here's Joe.
This next event is called Breakthrough and Conquer, something very near and dear to me. It's a throwback to the old days of one-on-one football we used to play in our backyard, and some of us used to play it for a living. 15 yards away from this goal line will be the contender. In a 5-yard area in front of the goal line will be a gladiator. The gladiator cannot leave this black area to go and attack the contender. The object of the game is quite simple. The contender has to score a touchdown. The gladiator has 3 ways to stop that contender. Can run him out of bounds, can stop his forward motion, or put him on the ground. Now, once that contender has scored a touchdown, he has to quickly get up and move to the conquer part of this particular event. That is this 12-foot circle located in the back of the end zone. He's just not going to stand in there. Waiting for him is another gladiator. Now, the contender will have 10 seconds to try and move that gladiator out of the circle. Consequently, you've got the breakthrough, and then you've got to go back and try the conquer.
And for the contender, there's the potential to earn 100 points in this event. 30 points for being successful in breakthrough, 30 points for being successful in the conquer portion of this event, and a 40-point bonus for being successful in both. Nitro, ready and waiting.
Got his mouthpiece in. You always, any time a guy puts a mouthpiece in, you know he's ready for some contact. And Malibu on the other stand, Malibu on the other stand, here's a guy coming off the beach. He's even got a mouthpiece in.
Malibu, a very deceptive and strong customer, obviously. All right, Jason Wyatt, Nitro attacks him, and Joe, it looks like he got in.
I don't know. He's trying to appeal to the judge. I'm not sure whether they gave it to him or not, but he can't stand there and argue because he's got to go into the conquer circle and now try and take out Malibu.
He's got 10 seconds to knock any portion of Malibu's body outside of the mat, and he does. So if he was awarded the 30 points for the breakthrough, he's earned the bonus and wins 100 points in this event. Let's watch it one more time. Jason Wyatt hurdling his 215 pounds towards Nitro. Nothing fancy there, but Nitro, rather than stepping up to meet Wyatt, is content to lay back, and that's the reason why Jason Wyatt, successful right there with the right foot, able to cross the plane of the goal line. Here's Joe with Jason.
They had to go to the instant replay to determine whether or not you got the ball in the end zone. Right. Do you think you did?
Well, yeah, I was mainly concentrating on my foot to see whether I was looking down at the time when I passed the end zone, and I saw myself step in. So then that's when I knew I had it.
I mean, you were confident all the way. It didn't bother you at all.
Yeah.
No problem. Now, after you get through from there, you go through the Gladiator. All of a sudden, you look up, and bang, you got to be in the Conquer ring against the next Gladiator.
Right.
What goes through your mind?
Well, he was extremely slippery. I don't know whether it was sweat or what, but just concentrating on getting my hands on his body and pushing him back.
You got it. Yeah. Slippery, slick, didn't matter to this guy. He got him out.
Phil Carroll, it's his turn now, and as we mentioned earlier, contenders selected at tryouts from around the country, and Phil told us how his brother got him involved.
What it was, they had the tryouts Thursday afternoon, and he called me up midnight Wednesday night, and he told me about it, and I thought, well, you know, I was half asleep and everything. I said, well, I'll call you tomorrow about it, and I laid there and thought a while, and he seemed really excited about it, so I called him back about 1 in the morning, told him that I would go. Then on the way out there, I said, well, should I try or not? You know, let's turn around and go back home. You know, these guys are going to be awesome out there and everything. And he kept pumping me up, motivating me, saying, you got to go for it. And all through the whole tryouts and everything, he was there right by my side saying, let's go, let's go, let's go. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even have tried, much less got through it.
Well, Phil's got to thank little brother for getting him involved in this thing. I don't know after this event whether he'll thank his little brother or not. Nitro again starting far deep in the black area, but he moved up to meet Phil Carroll. I guess when you're 20 pounds, 30 pounds lighter, it's easier to move up on, huh?
And I'll tell you, Nitro bent on making amends after what happened to him against Jason Wyatt. Now Malibu doing a good job of keeping Phil Carroll off of his body. All Phil has to do is knock any part of Malibu's body outside of the mat, and did he do it in the 10-second period, the allotted time?
That's something we're going to get a chance to take a look at on the replay, but right now, Phil Carroll gets a chance to take on Nitro. Now, what Nitro does different with Phil Carroll than he did with Jason Wyatt is he moves up into the black zone to try and take away the angle. So Phil can't get to the end zone. Runs him out of bounds, gives a little push in the head, says, there, you're second, I got you out.
Now watch the clock on the bottom right half of your screen. Phil Carroll trying like crazy to get Malibu out. Malibu, as I mentioned, doing a great job of just hanging in there. And yes, Phil Carroll did. So he earned 30 points. And after 2 events in the men's preliminaries, Jason Wyatt 145, Phil Carroll 60. Coming up, the women are next. Grab your pugil sticks and take a swing. It's the joust.
Should your name be on this envelope? It should if you or someone you love is age 50 to 80, and it will be addressed to you if you call now for this important information. Free information about a life insurance policy designed especially for men and women age 50 to 80. Life insurance with no physical examination and no medical questions. Because of a limited benefit period, you cannot be turned down for any reason. And your premium will be $6.95 a month and will never increase. Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company wants to send you the important information in this envelope, and it's free. So if you are age 50 to 80 and thought it would be difficult to buy life insurance, shouldn't you call now? Here's the number.
For free information in the mail, call 1-800-648-6900. This is a free call, 1-800-648-6900. 1-800-648-6900.
I was bored and a little lonely. Then I called 976-1122. Live people, live talk. Now I can have fun 24 hours a day. You can too. Only $2 plus any toll. Call 976-1122.
So I'd be out for the evening, and Cher would gather up all the neighborhood kids, pile them into my red and white convertible for an evening riding in grand style up and down Hollywood Boulevard. Of course, it was 25 years later before Cher decided to share that with me. And I was absolutely horrified. She was only 13 then, and I didn't know she could drive. So take some motherly advice from a Cher expert. Start ride-sharing with friends. It'll help lighten up traffic and keep up friendships, too. But wait until you're 18, okay?
Open your heart to someone who's far from home. Fleet Week 89's a good opportunity for you and your family to invite a visiting sailor over for dinner or any other family-oriented activity. Just call this number for more information. Take the time to show how much the Bay Area cares.
Welcome back to Universal Studios Hollywood and the American Gladiators, where our next event will be the women's joust.
And a contender earns points depending on how long she stays on the platform. There's the breakdown. Knock the Gladiator off the platform, it's worth 100 points. Up now is Amy Ross, and earlier she talked to us about the intimidation factor.
I am until I go up against them and see how I'm doing. Like in soccer, when we see, you know, the other size, I'm like, holy cow, you know, look at the size of that defenseman. She's huge, but she can't move. You know, that's the whole thing. Like, she'll stay flat-footed, and I'm like, I'll just scream right around her. But with these people, I don't know how fast they can move. I mean, they have arms bigger than my head, but still, you know, I don't know what she can do. She'll just throw me into the woods or something.
Well, Lace's arms aren't bigger than her head, but I imagine she'll present quite a formidable opponent for her up in the joust.
And don't let the cherubic face of Amy Ross fool you. Although she's 5'3", 125 pounds, she's a tough customer. In addition to excelling in soccer, she also plays ice hockey. And Joe, it seems like everybody in the Boston area, male and female, plays hockey. Amy Ross going for the quick kill, but Lace hanging tough on top of that platform, which is only 2 feet 6 inches wide. And now Amy Ross going the other way, and Lace wins it.
Lace accepting her acknowledgments from the crowd. And when you see in the replay, what Lace did is she let Amy come to her, get her stick down. Then she started to advance. Now she gets a little bit of hip into her, gets her off balance, keeping both hands on the pugil stick. Now remember, if she was to take a hand off, she'd be disqualified. We've seen that before in this competition. She manages to throw a little left leg into her, and as long as both hands are on the stick, the judges will consider it okay.
Amy did stay on the platform for 13 seconds, so she does earn some points, 40 to be exact, here in the women's joust. Now it's Nancy Petito's turn to see how she can do against Lace. She doesn't face quite the size disadvantage that Amy Ross did. Nancy a little bigger and going to work with that pugil stick, which is the way you're supposed to do it. Don't turn it into a pushing match, lunge and parry with that stick, and Nancy was successful there.
Nancy Petito, 7 inches taller than Amy Ross, 20 pounds heavier, using that to her advantage as she just there, right? A shot in the head to Lace. I think just set her off a little bit. She wasn't quite certain where she was. Now she brings the stick around, manages to get her feet under her, moving towards Lace. Again, gets the stick on now, crosses it back, and takes almost Lace's head off as she works her towards the side and off. Oh, the platform. Nancy Petito receiving 100 points for knocking the Gladiator off. Now for our next event, let's go over to Tarzan Mike Adamley.
This next event is elementary in design, and the rules are quite simple. It's called the human cannonball. Now, I'm standing on a platform that's about 20 feet above the ground, and what the contender will try to do is they'll grab this rope and they'll swing from it, and what they'll try to do is knock a gladiator off a pedestal about 30 feet away while swinging from this rope. They'll get 3 chances to do that. Now, it kind of sort of sounds like one of those Tarzan movies where, you know, Johnny Weissmuller grabbed the vine. The only problem is waiting at the other end is not Jane, but something much more formidable. I think here goes. Woo!
Off into the distance. I mean, just disappeared as you swung off the rope there, Mike. Phil Carroll's his first of 3 attempts against the Gladiators. Now, each attempt, if he can knock the Gladiator off the pedestal, will get him 30 points. If he can take all the Gladiators off in 3 attempts, he'll receive a 10-point bonus, therefore receiving 100 points for the event. Nitro trying to get the crowd support behind it. Now he's trying to take a position. That platform is only 4 feet wide. Now Phil Carroll comes right in and does manage to take Nitro out.
As we mentioned before, Joe, this is the one event where the advantage clearly belongs to the contender. They have all that swing weight going for them. Phil Carroll weighs about 195 pounds. By the time he reaches Nitro, he's about 800 pounds, and Nitro goes flying.
Jason Wyatt, no small sort of himself. You mentioned Phil Carroll's size. Jason Wyatt about 30 pounds heavier. That means he's going to generate about 150 more pounds of power coming at Nitro.
Here's the swing. Nitro hanging on. Oh, he gets pulled off, but I don't think that's legal. Jason Wyatt wrapped his legs around Nitro and pulled him off forward. You hear Nitro calling for Jason's disqualification.
And you'll see it here. He makes initial contact. Jason Wyatt actually hurt himself. It looks like he had Nitro going off the platform, Then he grabs him and holds on to him. Now, by locking his legs and pulling Nitro back towards him, he is disqualified and will receive no points for that shot at the Gladiator.
All right, Phil Carroll now is ready for his second attempt, and Gemini will be standing on the pedestal this time. Carroll already 1 for 1. Phil probably has done this in basic training during his days in the Marine Corps and wastes no time. Boom, down goes Gemini.
But you know, it's just got to be so difficult for the Gladiators. There's nowhere to run and hide. Here you see they try and get the pad out in front to meet the impact of the contender, but Phil Carroll follows through with his foot. Well, we saw the success of Phil Carroll. Next up will be Jason Wyatt.
Jason's 0 for 1. He was disqualified on his first attempt. Here he goes on the second. And Gemini, great job of keeping his balance. Pumps that fist and said, yeah, I stayed up there. Yeah, well, and now Jason Wyatt is 0 for 2.
Well, he's got a little bit of upper body strength to be able to deflect those feet coming at him. And when you've got a guy that big, he just has to stand there and be strong. Phil Carroll now going for a perfect wipeout, and he does. Knocked the Gladiators off on his first 2 attempts, got it on the third, receives a 10-point bonus for 100 points. Nitro trying to use the deflection tactic, which he does with the right foot, forgets about the left and winds up almost in the cheap seats.
And give Nitro credit for hanging tough, I'll tell you that. All right, Jason Wyatt, third and final attempt. He's 0 for 2. And Nitro gives him a shot but can't stay up.
Nitro wanting to try and at least take one of the contenders out. Here he tries to deflect Jason Wyatt, but just can't quite do it. Wyatt managing to take out Nitro and pick up 30 points in the effort.
Phil, you're not the biggest guy in the world, but one thing, your heart and guts and character has really stood out so far.
Well, it's the desire there. I've got my little brother at home motivating me, and my wife brought my good luck charm along, and hopefully it'll go with me far.
Your style on the swinging rope is a little bit different than everybody else's. You had an uncanny knack to be able to explode at just the right moment.
Well, I just wanted to come down, hit him in the chest, keep my legs in, and get that extra spring in there to try and knock him off.
Those 100 points have helped Phil Carroll close the gap on Jason Wyatt. He just trails him by 15 points now after 3 events in the men's preliminaries. Coming up next, women's Powerball. Have the female Gladiators figured out how to work like a team? We'll find out.
Dorothy, will you marry me? Where's my ring? A lifesaver? It's a beginning. Don't worry. We'll live with my mother.
Lifesavers candy. Isn't life delicious?
Feeling good about yourself. Feeling carefree.
Carefree sugarless bubblegum. The full flavor's gonna blow you away. Full flavor, no sugar. Carefree.
Yes, and Mario is your only hope. Team up with him in the new Super Mario Land. Guide him on the Nintendo Game Boy. Challenge the mysteries and terrors of ancient Egypt. Battle all the horrors of the deep. Master lots of weird worlds to give Mario a happy ending and make your world a better place. New Super Mario Land and other exciting games for Game Boy. Nintendo. Now you're playing with power. Portable power.
I play guitar, and when I play, I like to turn up the juice. So I rock with the real fruit juice taste and Bubbly on Bubblegum's new Hawaiian Punch Fruit Punch, Wet and Wild Watermelon, and Strawberry Stripe. Their full-face taste keeps my jaws jamming, and their blast and bubbles slide off my lips like my fingers across this guitar. Bubbly has 3 new flavors with real fruit juice taste. You gotta like the sound of that. Bubbly keeps it popping.
Hey, what do you got? Nerf Turbo Football. Yeah, what's it do? Go long. Real long.
Nice toss. Nerf Turbo Football. You don't throw it, you launch it.
The Love Connection. Weekdays at 4:30 on 5.
Heart disease is the #1 killer in America. It claims over 500,000 lives each year, more deaths than caused by all forms of cancer combined. The best way to fight against heart disease is by watching your diet. Certain foods like dairy products, red meat, and eggs can produce large amounts of cholesterol in the body. High cholesterol levels can clog the arteries, causing chest pain, heart attacks, and sudden death. Heart specialist Dr. Ronald Blonder says changing your diet can decrease your risk.
Coronary artery disease is a disease of choice. We have to eat more fruits and vegetables and more poultry and fish. We need to check package labeling. We need to substitute corn oil, margarine for butter and animal fats. In these ways, we can reduce our chances and risk of having coronary artery disease.
Eat smart to live a longer and healthier life. This good health message is brought to you by the American Osteopathic Association.
After two events in the women's preliminaries, Nancy Petito holds a 60-point lead over Amy Ross. Coming up in this event, the women's Powerball, one of two events where each of the contenders and the Gladiators will compete simultaneously against one another. 15 points for putting the ball in the cylinder, 45 seconds to be able to do it in. Amy Ross told us what it was like to compete with other people from the Boston area.
It seems so individual here, but every single person, I mean, we all know each other's names by now, and we were like, we should just be a team coming from Mass. We're like, God, we should just be a team, but we can't. And I'm going to be going against the other girl, you know, in a couple days, and it's going to be weird, but, I mean, if you go out there, everybody's rooting for everybody, and it's really wild because they're like, you know, way to go, just stay low, saying every single thing, and it's like, wow, you know, you're not out here alone.
Amy from Andover, Mass, and Nancy Petito from Wakefield. They have a lot in common. Both play ice hockey, both fine athletes, and both will be going against the Gladiators 3, Lace, Sunny, and Zap. A reminder, this is the third of 5 preliminary rounds. The 5 winners from the prelims and the 3 best second-place finishers will advance to the quarterfinals. So it behooves both Nancy and Amy to do well and not give up at any point during this competition. Lace, Sunny, and Zap playing to the crowd right now, but in a moment they'll turn very serious. You got the handshake down in the
huddle. They got their huddle break right. That was the most. They've been struggling with that in the earlier shows. What they've managed to do is they want to put Sunny in the middle because she is the biggest. And look, Nancy's trying to use the old follow Amy technique. Now Amy puts it. She tucks the ball away just like she's carried a football around for a few years.
Joe, we should mention that you cannot score once you've been knocked out of bounds. That goal by Nancy Petito did not count. Amy scores there. Sunny ramps up Nancy, and Amy continues to score. Being very effective there. Nancy with a near miss. Amy with a great effort, but that one doesn't count, obviously. It goes out of bounds, so does the ball.
Amy Ross continues. Oh, what a move! What a little head fake, a little shuffle and bomb. Holy mackerel, what a great move by Amy Ross. Nancy Petito feeling the brunt of what Amy did. Lace was tired of being fooled, so she just went after Nancy Petito.
45 seconds of non-stop action. Both girls exhausted. Amy Ross, the winner, 75 points to 30. And watch this move once again.
Oh, here it is. Plant the left foot. Show her the ball. Bring it out. Now a little, whoa, I'm not there. I'm over here. Lace left in her dust. Amy comes in with the easy score into the cylinder, picking up the 15 points. Amy Ross with another good move. Now she's still working on Lace. Starts her one way, starts her the other. Lace thinks she's going to head towards Zap, and then she comes back towards the cylinder. Lace doesn't have the footwork for the change of direction, and Amy Ross manages to put another ball through the cylinder.
And Amy recognizing a good thing when she sees one. If it worked once, if it worked twice, why not try it a third time? Her quickness just too much for a very frustrated Lace. Now, in Nancy Petito's defense, I think the Gladiators decided that because of her size, Nancy's size, they'd have to double team her. And here, Lace comes over to help Sunny, gives Nancy a hip check, knocks her out of bounds, and that was probably the reason why Nancy was frustrated in this event. So after 3 events, here's how Nancy Petito and Amy Ross stand. Nancy with a 15-point lead over her friend from Andover, Massachusetts.
Coming up now, the men's assault. Phil Carroll, the ex-Marine, should feel really at home in this one, huh, Mike? He's got 4 stations to run through to try and knock out the Gladiator. Throwing grenades, shooting cannons, shooting missile launchers. He must think he's back doing a little deja vu.
Well, Phil, being an ex-Marine, certainly well-versed in how to fire a weapon. This is the game of hit or be hit. Gemini will be firing a cannon that shoots tennis balls in Phil Carroll's direction at over 100 miles an hour. See the target to the right of Gemini. If the contender hits the white portion, it's worth 60 points. If he hits the bullseye, it's worth 100. Phil trying not to expose any portion of his body. Nice little sidestep there, Joe.
Again, we noted that those branches in the middle behind that particular shield really don't provide that much protection. And of course, these cans don't provide a whole lot anyway. But they provided enough. Phil Carroll, getting his hand on the grenades, which has to be natural for him, manages to take out the Gladiator.
That was his last chance. There's a 60-second time limit in this event, and watch the technique, Joe. Not bad.
Throws it like a football. I don't know if he can throw a grenade like that, but he sure did on that one. There's the explosion. All he has to do, he hits the white part of the target, and ba-boom! We got ourselves one down Gladiator. Phil Carroll really happy with himself, and he should be. He's one of the few contenders that have gotten that far and putting a lot of pressure now on Jason Wyatt to have a good run through the assault. Well, Jason knows exactly what he has to do. He fires the rocket launcher. Now, tries to set himself and make sure that he gets out behind that blown-up building. Looks like the Gladiator's having some trouble with the gun because you didn't see those balls come flying at him. Slides over behind the tree, picks up the pistol to take aim. Well, Jason thinks he hit the target, and Gemini thinks he hit Jason. Well, who hit who first? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Let's take a closer look at it. Lower right-hand part of your screen is a super tight shot of the trigger finger of Jason Wyatt. The question is, does the ball hit him before he manages to squeeze off his shot? I don't know. It looks a little bit too close for me to call. Let's go over to Mike Adamle and find out exactly what happened.
Well, in the case of Jason Wyatt, it was ruled that the moment that Jason had pulled the trigger, he was hit by Gemini. Thus, it was declared a draw, and Jason will receive 30 points. Close call, though.
A real close call. Phil Carroll taking the lead 220 to 205 over Jason Wyatt after 4 events. Remember, there are 6 events in this preliminary competition. Coming up next, the guys get to beat each other with the sticks. The joust.
Great, you're still open.
Joe, what can I help you with?
I'm looking for... Say, what's that?
The new Sports Illustrated video. The amazing Biff Bam Boom Anything Goes bloopers.
Wow.
I got it free with my paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. It's the wackiest, goofiest thing I've ever seen. Look at this nutty football. These guys could use padding.
Ah, this looks great. And these guys could use sidelines.
What is that, lacrosse? Or kill the guy with the ball? Try this stuff.
Ooh, now that is amazing. That's great. I can't believe this video is free.
Not only that, I got SI at almost 50% off the cover price. I just called their toll-free number, and I got 21 issues, including their terrific football and baseball coverage, the big 35th anniversary issue, and the 1990 swimsuit issue. And I got the video for free, all for 3 easy payments of $9.95 each.
Thanks. I'm going to go call Sports Illustrated right now.
Hey!
I was bored and a little lonely. Then I called 976-1122. Live people, live talk. Now I can have fun 24 hours a day. You can too. Only $2 plus any toll. Call 976-1122.
Question: what's the largest one-day benefit of its kind in the Bay Area and the oldest? Whose volunteer network provides the model for fundraising in Marin County? Who offers the most fun for the whole family with free admission? Find out for yourself October 7th with prizes, food, and entertainment at the 90th Annual Sunny Hills Grape Festival at Larkspur Landing Shopping Center, a benefit for Sunny Hills Children's Services, helping children help themselves since 1895.
This is our future, and education is the key to their success. Help them where it matters most, in the classroom. Volunteer your time, your experience, and your support. Call 1-800-992-6787. Take the time for kids' sake.
Mike Adamley and Joe Theismann back with more on American Gladiators. This was the result of the women's swing shot. Amy Ross, the winner. She now has a 10-point lead over Nancy Petito after 4 events. Next up, the men's joust, and Phil Carroll, the ex-Marine, will try his hand against Malibu. Once again, to refresh your memory, the rules in this event: knock the Gladiator off that platform, it's worth 100 points. Or push them back to a point on that platform where a trap door will give way.
This is a case where Malibu has a little bit more size over Phil Carroll, but you got to believe that the training that Phil has had has got to help him in this event.
And Joe, one other rule we should make mention of: at no time can a contender or a Gladiator's hands leave that pugil stick. If it happens, that person is disqualified.
You know, standing on these platforms, you feel comfortable. You and I have both tried this. What really got me is when you step out on that little 2.5-foot ramp. Not only do you have to worry about holding your balance, but now somebody's coming at you with a stick.
Phil Carroll and Malibu getting set to go. Malibu strikes first and actually loses his stick. Carroll, his hands left the pugil stick. So did Malibu's. This will be an interesting decision.
Well, whose hands left first? That's going to be the question. You see Malibu, he comes in with the initial shot. Tries to get Phil Carroll in the head. Jabs at him once, swings it around. Now Carroll will lock his right arm over the pugil stick, not allowing Malibu to use it anymore, and then just gets him off balance. Once he has him off balance, he now has Malibu exactly where he wants him. He can either bring the pugil stick back, but hold it. Even though he was declared the winner, he still has his arm out. Obviously, the judge did not see Phil Carroll's arm on the back of Malibu. Well, now here's Mike with Phil.
Philip, there's an old saying that the Marine Corps builds men. It obviously has helped you out a great deal.
Well, it's paid off some. Get in there. Contenders are coming back. We're going to get them.
What about that Marine Corps tradition and your ability to take on the onslaught of a gladiator who looks like a beach boy?
Hey, they say once Marine, always Marine. Get in there and get some.
Well, Phil Carroll sure did get in and get some. He got himself 100 points, which has put a whole lot of pressure on Jason Wyatt. He's got to take out Malibu or else he's going to fall far behind in the competition. Oh, what a great shot to the face. And in no time flat, Jason Wyatt bites the dust. Malibu comes down and manages to do what every gladiator wants, take out the contenders. The crowd enjoying the competition. You'll see in this replay, Malibu does get the first shot right to the helmet of Jason Wyatt. Right now, I'm sure he isn't sure where he is. Malibu reloads and takes him off balance again and then fires him out into space. Jason Wyatt falls further behind Phil Carroll.
Well, what do you offer the ultimate beach boy after a hard-fought battle? What else? A comb. Here you go.
Thanks, bro.
Malibu, you had to deal a little bit with size in that one, and it seemed to, as opposed to hinder you, help you a little bit.
Well, all I can say to that one is, dude, is you're never going to defeat 220 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal. Yeah.
You don't have a problem with your ego, do you?
I got no problem with my ego. I'm just a wild and good-looking kind of California guy.
Yeah. Part gladiator, part love machine. All right, good luck.
Malibu seems to have recovered quite well from that last shot he took in our last show. Phil Carroll opens up his lead on Jason Wyatt. And coming up next, Jason will have an opportunity to close the gap. In a short period of time, you can make up a lot of points in the Eliminator.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You mean after we close our loan, we've got 2 weeks to change our mind for any reason?
Any reason at all?
And the money store will cancel our second mortgage loan? Guaranteed?
That's right. Just return the money and the deal is off. At no cost to you.
It's kind of a loan you can live with before you decide to marry it.
That's a great deal. The money store must be very confident that their loans are the best.
Absolutely. We became America's #1 independent home equity lender by giving homeowners what they want. Folks appreciate the safety net of a money-back guarantee. Of course, our low fixed rates speak for themselves. The affordable monthly payments are locked in for the life of the loan. Qualified homeowners may get quick approval right over the phone, and interest payments on second mortgage loans may be fully tax deductible. For all the details about our money-back guarantee, call the money store toll-free. Dial 1-800-LOAN-YES.
Today, thousands of people are affected by AIDS.
many of them Latinos. We all need to learn how to protect ourselves. Call the AIDS Spanish language hotline. It's at your fingertips. Talking Spanish or English to another Latino, anonymously, at no charge, con confianza.
Línea abierta en español, SIDA AIDS, ¿en qué puedo ayudarle?
Yo, mire, ando preocupado por esto del SIDA. ¿Podría usted decirme si...
¿Y qué
If you
quisiera
think you've
saber?
been exposed to the virus, or if you have any questions, call us. There are specific steps you can take to avoid infection. Learn about them. Now information means life. The AIDS Spanish language hotline, 800-367-2437. Call us. Con confianza. Entre hermanos. 800-367-2437. A service of the San Francisco AIDS Foundation in cooperation with the American Red Cross and Pacific Telesis Foundation.
Universal Studios Hollywood back with more of the American Gladiators. Now in the women's human cannonball, Amy Ross and Nancy Petito both failed to score. So after 5 events, Amy Ross now has a 10-point lead over Nancy. 5 down and 1 to go. Here's Joe.
This is the last event in our first round of competition. It's called the Eliminator. The object of this game is not quite that difficult. All you have to do is get yourself from point A all the way around to the end. Sounds simple, but watch what happens. The first part of this competition, the contenders have to roll this ball up the ramp in front of them. As they push the ball up the ramp, they'll continue to move and move and move up to here, slide the ball over into a holding tank on the side, then they'll start across this ramp, which looks rather simple, except that there'll be 3 gladiators on the right, 3 gladiators on the left, throwing these medicine balls in front of them, trying to knock them down into the pit. And when they get over to the other side, my co-host, Mike Adamley, is going to tell you about the rest of this one.
Well, Joe, at this point, the Eliminator really starts to get fun. The contenders will have to negotiate these commando lines. As you can see, it is very unsteady and very stable. Now, I've got 60 seconds to finish this Eliminator course, so I need to make up as much time as I can, so I have to go a little bit faster than I did there. Here, the swing for life across the barrier and down. And at this point, the contender has a series of choices to make. First, I can go down the left corridor, or I can go down the right corridor. In my case, I'll go down the left corridor. And then there's another choice, and maybe the most important choice, which lane to take. I could take the left lane or the right lane. It's quite possible if I pick the right lane, I can go scot-free to the finish line. But if I pick the wrong lane, well, there could be a big bad gladiator waiting for me. Let's hope I pick the right one. Ah! Mr. Malibu, I'm glad you weren't over here. It's tough. It's a lot of energy expended. You've got 60 seconds to do it. And the contender that makes it this far will have done a great, great job.
Nancy Petito and Amy Ross have battled down through 5 events. There you see the scores. This event number 6, the Eliminator. A lot of different stages in this game, a lot of opportunities to both make up time and get penalized if you don't go through each of the stations the way you should, Mike.
And should Nancy Petito lose to Amy Ross in this event, she is not necessarily eliminated. The 3 best second-place finishers in the prelims will advance to the quarterfinals.
I'd have to think that in this event, because Amy Ross, again, we saw in some of the events her size was a disadvantage to her. I would think in the Eliminator, being smaller, being less of a target for the medicine balls, having a chance to maybe move across the ropes a little more agilely, it would be to her advantage to be a little bit smaller.
You know, Joe, one of the amazing things that has happened this week, Nancy and Amy, even though they're competing against one another here, have become great friends. They've used that bond from being born in the Boston area and being raised in the Boston area, and it's kind of solidified their relationship. But here they're going head-to-head, and just 10 points separate the 2 of them.
You know, Mike, you and I have been in enough competition and know no matter how close you get to somebody through it, when it comes down to trying to compete against them, you really want to beat them.
And Amy, the first across the balance beams, the first one on the commando lines, and in this case, her size is actually helping her. She crosses first. Now the swing for life across the barrier, lands on the seat of her pants, and now she heads for the maze with a slight lead over Nancy.
Amy Ross breaks through. Yes, she did pick the right corridor, but Nancy Petito winds up running into Lace and is stalled just before she crosses the finish line. If Amy Ross had run into Sonny, she might well have lost this event.
Amy Ross exhibiting the better balance on the commando lines, and watch Nancy, she slips, and that's probably where Amy won the race. However, the key thing here, this is where luck comes in. Amy Ross picks the right quarter. She avoids the Gladiator, while Nancy Petito does not. Still, a great effort by the 27-year-old from Wakefield, Massachusetts, and the mother of a 3-year-old daughter. Nancy Petito giving it all she's got. Great effort, but not enough here against Amy Ross. Now she'll have to wait and see if her 6-event point total will be good enough to get her to the quarterfinals. Here's our public address announcer with the official results.
Ladies and gentlemen, the scores for that event. Amy Ross, 33 seconds for 135 points, and a total of 345 points for the entire competition. Nancy Petito, 37 seconds for 115 points, and a total of 315 points. The winner, Amy Ross.
Congratulations. You're going to move on to the next round.
Thank you. I'm very excited. I'm psyched to head into the next round.
Now, you played a lot of soccer, didn't you?
Yeah, I played for Westfield State.
So I guess your footwork right there made a big difference?
Yeah, no, I think it's just luck. I mean, I'm glad I didn't run into that girl over there. I'm psyched.
Did you expect to run into a Gladiator when you went through the final phase of the Eliminator?
Yeah, you can't even tell going through. I had my eyes closed. I'm like, I just don't want to hit the wall. I'm psyched.
You didn't hit the wall. You're going to move on to the next round. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hard not to like Amy Ross with that warm personality and infectious smile. Now after 5 events, Phil Carroll has a big lead over Jason White. Only a major mistake by the former Marine could lose this event for him.
You know, Phil also runs a commercial office cleaning business. We talk about his Marine Corps training, but here's a guy who's come out of the Corps and gone on and started his own business. Now, Jason Wyatt, he just wants to play football, wants to go on to college, wants to be a football player. He seems to be somewhat stiff. We saw it in the joust. I don't know if he'll be able to make up the time that's necessary to even close the gap on Phil Carroll in the Eliminator, Mike.
Actually, Joe, Jason White is racing against himself. He's really trying to just accumulate enough points in this final event to possibly advance to the quarterfinals. Both men primed and ready to go. Jason Wyatt, the first man up the ramp, but Phil Carroll, the first across the balance beam as Jason Wyatt goes down. He was hit by all 4 medicine balls.
Yeah, he got 3 of his own and 1 of Phil Carroll's. Looked a little stiff going across the beam. And here he's still struggling over the ropes. Look at Phil Carroll, flies into the maze and flies over Nitro and scrambles his way across the finish line. Where is Jason Wyatt? What's his choice? Yes, Jason didn't run into the Gladiator, but still manages to fall quite a bit behind Phil Carroll. There are the points, 490 to 320. Well, both men in this event managed to get the ball and settle it into the holding tank quite well, but Jason Wyatt ran into all kinds of trouble going across the balance beam, almost runs headfirst into the wall as well.
Jason actually served as a shield for Phil Carroll as he was the first across the commando lines and looked very comfortable up there. And watch his effort here against Nitro. He goes up, he goes over, and manages to keep his feet using his hands to balance him as he scrambles across the finish line. Phil Carroll advances to the quarterfinals. Let's go down to Joe Theismann with the winner.
Well, Phil, just like a stroll through boot camp, isn't it?
I don't know about that. It's a little bit harder.
Congratulations. You flew through it in 26 seconds. Was there any part of the Eliminator that created a bit of a problem for you?
Well, getting across the beams, trying not to get hit by the balls, and then make it through the end there.
So Amy Ross advances to the quarterfinals. Nancy Petito will have to wait and see if her score is good enough. And for the men, Phil Carroll advances to the quarterfinals as well.
Party Line Dating, 976-6565. Just $2 plus any toll. It's fun. It's live. It's hot and so's the talk. Don't be alone. Call and talk with up to 8 other people live. Call now, 976-6565. That's 976-6565.
Wild California at the California Academy of Sciences.
Every family has its ups and downs.
But being homeless is about as far down as it can go. And tragically, the children have no choice but to go along for the ride. But there is hope. At the Haight-Ashbury Family Shelter, we give homeless families food, shelter, and a new direction for their lives. You can help. Support the Haight-Ashbury Family Shelter, because the homeless problem has become too small to ignore.
Hey, what do you got? Nerf Turbo Football. Yeah, what's it do? Go long. Real long.
Nice toss.
Nerf Turbo Football. You don't throw it, you launch it.
They said it wasn't humanly possible. But now you can have all the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy. It's portable, it's in stereo, and its games are interchangeable. Plus, Game Boy comes with the outrageous new game, Tetris. And for head-to-head competition, use the revolutionary video link and blow your opponent away. Game Boy, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power, portable power.
Come on, all contenders. I'm here for the ultimate challenge.
Dick, good job.
The contenders on American Gladiators are chosen at open tryouts across the country. They must demonstrate superior athletic ability in rigorous tests of strength, speed, and agility. If you think you have what it takes to challenge the Gladiators, stay tuned to upcoming shows for an announcement of tryouts in your area. Joe?
There they are, our quarterfinalists on the American Gladiators. Amy Ross from Andover, Massachusetts, Phil Carroll from Taylor, Michigan. And competing next week will be Joe Rogers, Bernard Todd, Christy Cotton, and Tracy Phillips. I'm Joe Theismann for Mike Adamle. See you next week.
American Gladiators champions will choose from a selection of cars, including the new 1990 Chevrolet Lumina Coupe. This sleek new performer with a standard V6 engine is as distinctive on the inside as it is on the outside. Furnished by Chevrolet.